There's even more to learn and know. And what experience do you have to say, okay, I'm going to stop using this product at this point and pick it up with this product and still provide a warranty and do this and do that? It's experience, man. There is
And
nothing that replaces that. Welcome to the show. First, like we'll introduce everybody to you. This is Johnny from Tile Services Canada. Johnny, tell us a
what's
little bit
up?
about your company.
Yeah. Well, it started about I'm working on my fifth year right now. Been in the industry since I was 21 years old. I'm 39 now. But starting off in the industry, I always had a lot of trouble getting clients and drumming up business. So, I was one of those guys that are going around posting anything I can on lamp posts and,
Mm-hmm.
all the old school methods, business cards, all that stuff. And then I realized, you know what? It's time to go meet the industry, get out there and build resources. So I left and I started working for a company called Marble Trend, which you know of. And I
Mm-hmm.
was their wholesale manager for a number of years. Met a lot of clients, met a lot of people, left there, got hired by one of my clients, which I think I told you about. Um, and this funny thing that they were the only customer that didn't buy a single thing from me back then, but they
Yeah.
hired,
Yeah.
right? I was good enough for their payroll.
That's it. That's all that
But they
matters.
didn't like, but you know what? Bringing coffee there over and over and over, they saw the persistence and they liked it. And,
Yeah.
and I guess it worked out because they threw me in with the Sharks. Imagine being 30 years old, Clint, and, walking into high rise projects and trying to tell these guys that, like, you're not even in their league.
Oh yeah, for sure. And they've been in it since their like grandfather started that company. Usually around here, that's like it's old. Like it's old. Like people
Yeah,
been in there. They've had those relationships since before their generation.
they don't want to see you. They're calling the boss saying, who the fuck is this guy that showed up? Like, I'm
For sure.
supposed to listen to him. So you know what? It was good because I had to fight to survive, right? And gain a lot of respect. And
And
it
you're
took a
you're
little
one of the
while.
very few people that I'm always preaching about pound the pavement, put in your time, work for another company for years. You are one of the very few people that like you're proud of that experience in that time. And I wish that was more common with, everybody wants to be like 23 and a general contractor. No offense to anybody who is 23 and a general contractor, but everyone wants that like right out of the gate feel. And you hit the nail on the head. You lived it. You lived, working for someone, helping them build their dream while you kind of quietly stayed in the background and you built up your reputation, you built up your contact list, your network, and that's incredible, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Like it's a funny thing because I mean it's good. It's good that people generally like you. So I made a lot of friends in the industry, but really that was the only way in. Like I had to get right into where the industry is at, and this company that provided it for me. So it's like going to school, man. Like I got paid to do it, and you can't acquire that kind of knowledge any other way. We talked about this. That this trade is about job seen, not time in.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to see a lot of projects, and that kind of took me to the next level as far as skill goes, because you get to see all these really highly skilled guys um, practice 5 different methods of accomplishing the same goal. And
Mm-hmm.
you're able to acquire all of this information from one source, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was really cool. It was a really cool experience. But then it got to a point where I had it. And you can only go so high, and your pay is maxed and whatnot. So I took the plunge, quit my job with 1 kid, a pregnant wife. Everyone told me not to do it, and that's when I know it's a good time to do it because I don't listen to people. I've got
Yeah.
that problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was it. It was like I said, it was a good experience. And when I started Tile Services Canada, I started with a lot of clients in the union world, and PCL, Ellis, Don, Daniels, Tucker High Rise. It goes on and on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting business off these guys, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
almost like starting from square one with all these resources. The good
Mm-hmm.
thing is I got to know the suppliers and reps and all that stuff. So,
Well, it's like you ever see the movie Pursuit of Happiness?
yeah, I
With
love that
okay,
movie,
so
man.
he's Will Smith is at the Niners game for people who haven't seen it, or just to remind people who have. And he's at the Niners game, and he's literally asking the CEO of Bell for his investment portfolio. And he's like telling, let me take over this portfolio. And he's an intern who's walked to this guy's house from a bus or whatever. And the guy's like, I didn't realize you were this new. You know, I appreciate it, but there's no chance in hell I'm giving you my portfolio to handle all my finances. But he walked away with 32 Bell employees that gave him their business. And it just, like you were saying, like, yeah, maybe you're not getting, you know, business from the, you know, at Ellis Don, say on a big, huge project, but maybe the super is doing a house on the side, or maybe he's got his own personal house or whatever, you know, just take what the low hanging fruit. You don't have to go after the monster right out of the gate. Right.
That's true, right? But the funny thing is learning in that kind of environment, you start to realize I don't want those contracts.
No,
I don't want to sit on, you know, half $1,000,000 in receivables, and you know, then it's a job.
Yeah, now
right?
you're managing money is all you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're just paying attention to how much is in the account, how much you can float out, who's giving you credit, who's not, when bills are due, and then it's not fun anymore.
Exactly. But you know, at one point in my life, I started to realize that I work best under a constant state of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So I keep putting myself in these situations where I have to, you know, fight to get out. And here I am, and you know, I'm doing the good fight. 5 years in the business, we're building a good client base. We focus most of our business up north. North meaning Muskoka.
I noticed that you posted a picture today or yesterday. Yes, yesterday. You were at the lake. You're grinding a tile, and there's like Lake Joe in the background. All right, we're back. We lost Johnny for a minute. He's up in this beautiful land up north by the lake, laughing at everybody while they're busting their ass in the middle of the city. And
I would never laugh out loud at anybody.
The consequences, though, his internet connection isn't as good. So
that's true. It's a little choppy.
That's all good. So you were telling, you're in I was saying I noticed this post that you did yesterday where you're like literally right on the lake.
Oh, and it's awesome. And you know, it's funny. Like I love it up there, but I'm not there for the lake.
Yeah.
Although I wish I could be. But it's you know your customer, know who you're targeting, right? Mm-hmm. We got to a point where we decided to target a market that, you know, has the finances available for our services. Like the people in the Muskoka area are, they know what they want. They want what they want. They're kind. They're amazing people. Like the working environment's crazy. Like they're just happy to show up, to be quite honest, right? But we give them amazing service, and they're willing to pay for it. And they're not afraid to hear the word profit. And that's kind of a thing where, you know, I was once, you know, out there trying to make money, but trying to convince myself and my customers that I'm not there for the money. But let's be honest here, guys. You know, there's nothing wrong. You've acquired a skilled trade. There's nothing wrong with profit. And that meaning more than just wages, right?
Yep.
As long as you provide the service you're there to provide and more. The and more is the most important part. If you price a job in properly, you have the ability to do extras, to do extra little things. Like there isn't that burden and time constraint to be able to give your customers the outstanding service that they're paying for. It's just tough finding the customer that's willing to pay for those services, right? And I think that has a lot to do with the way you present yourselves and the way you present your quotes and the way you present your scope, and you have every angle covered. You look more professional than the last guy, and you'll quickly find that you don't have competition. Mm-hmm. You're you. Absolutely. You're a trade.
Well, it's funny. We always talk about, like, as being a business owner, it's hard to find good people who work real hard. That's exactly what usually separates one company from another when they're going on an estimate, is how hard are you working? Not just like, you know, how fast can you unload a skid of tile, but how hard are you working, like, to make sure that their house is clean and you don't fuck up their front door when you're carrying shit in and out, or just all the little stupid things. You and I have had this conversation before.
Absolutely.
it's so weird that people think, I'm a great tile setter, so everyone else fucking bow down to me. But they're a slob and they're a mess and they destroy everything around them or whatever. It's a disaster. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, but you're not providing the value you think you are. Just because you can lay a tile flat doesn't make you a good company to hire.
Right, right. I agree. There's a whole well-rounded part of the service. Like, we're not just installers. We're in the service industry. We have to treat the job site the way, it's like this all comes down to respecting yourself more than it has to do with respecting others. I think fundamentally, like, if you have respect for yourself, that resonates and treats, other things. It shows up in what you do,
Big time.
And I think that's kind of it fundamentally, like, to not care. And that goes back to the whole not pricing a job properly thing, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. There's sometimes when I'm pricing a job and it's like, I'm in a hurry or whatever, and I don't give it the attention or the actual care that I should. And then I go back and look at it and I'm like, fuck, I should have done this better. I should have given it more respect, like you said. And it's just, it happens. We're human beings. We all make mistakes, but we have to really make an effort to respect every aspect of this thing.
Right. And the customers see it. And more importantly, it's funny, more than the customers, it's other trades. And getting the respect of other trades, that takes you a lot farther.
It's huge.
It really is. Don't blame. It's not important to make anybody else look stupid. They're perfectly capable of doing that themselves. What the hell do they need you for? Right? Like, it's funny, kind of going back to a little bit of a story, if you don't mind, but I have a friend of mine. He kind of called us in on a project to help him. He knew he was in over his head on one portion of it. So we took that part of the scope, and he had a lot of problems with the GC, and they were just fighting tooth and nail for the attention of the client, right? It's funny. It's like watching a bunch of guys just, chasing their tails, trying to get the client, like me better. And it came down to the end where he mentioned to me, he's like, I want to take the customer out to lunch and tell them about his GC and how bad of a guy he is.
Oh, fuck.
I'm thinking, dude, you're paying for lunch to rat somebody else out?
You're literally paying so that you can present yourself like an idiot.
Listen, control your emotions out there. If you ever find yourself disappointed in somebody, it's probably your fault because your expectations weren't set correctly anyways, right?
Yeah.
So, take ownership of these things. You don't have to go out there and make, enemies. Just nod your head, agree, move on, and get to the next project.
Yeah.
In one piece.
Yeah.
And deficiency free.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Definitely.
But that's it. Go ahead.
That?
No, just to get into the whole deficiency free thing, right? Like, we all struggle with that. The deficiencies are always a matter of perspective, and somebody doesn't like one thing you thought was acceptable and vice versa. I think it really comes down to communication and setting an expectation of what the outcome is going to be with the client. And more importantly, if the conditions aren't right, stopping the damn job. Guys, we're professionals. Stop the job. I know money's important, but Clint, how much does it cost to fix? Our trade's the most expensive thing. There's the glass guy, the cabinetry guys, it goes on and on and on. The plumber, it's crazy. Our responsibility is to get to the end product in one piece, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And how important it is for the young guys out there and girls out there starting their business or early in the trade. How important is it to put a halt on a situation that is going to cause problems later, and you need money, you got to pay your rent, you got to do all this stuff, so you kind of push through it anyway, even though you're not supposed to, and then it ends up fucked up later.
Yeah.
How important is that to just fucking stop?
I still learn these lessons. Like, I'm talking like I don't make mistakes, guys. I make mistakes, right?
Every day.
I just try to not make the expensive ones. But most of that is solved pretty easily with a not a problem sign here,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And then the
Yeah.
client takes you seriously.
So what's some things that you say in scenarios when, because money is a big thing here in Toronto. A lot of people, we pay high taxes, we got a lot of bills. Things are expensive here, homes, renovations, materials. How do
Oh
you
yeah.
address that with clients when they come back and say, that's just too expensive, I can't do
Right. Well, generally I don't get asked that question. I hear it in a more offensive way. Like, are you crazy?
it? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or how much money do you need to make? What's
How
my
much
answer?
money do you need to make?
With
That's a good
as
one.
much as humanly possible.
I don't know. My
Right?
kid's not done with university yet. Hold on.
But it's funny. Like you know, everybody's got their own ideas of what expensive is, and if you're dealing with that client, red flag
Yeah.
is red flag, right? Tread carefully. I'm not saying don't proceed, just tread carefully.
Yeah.
Cover your butts, document them, take pictures. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make sure, because that scenario is it doesn't always work out in my experience as well as we want it to. And Clint, I know you've been there.
Oh, and I was just telling someone yesterday, they were asking me their advice on hiring a general contractor to do like the whole service suite, full kitchen, trim, drywall, everything. And I was like, there's two things that I can say is, number one, come by someone who's referred to you by a personal you've seen what they've done, you have a personal friend or whatever who has a vested interest. And number two is, don't haggle the price. Set your budget ahead of time on what you want to spend, and then whatever price they give you, if it fits within that budget and they're recommended and everything else feels good, then go with it. But don't haggle the price, because once you devalue someone, or once you kind of take them down a little bit, you're now switching the role of power. And as a homeowner, you want to be in a position of power, and you want to be able to, when they come to you for something, your payment structure is set up. When they give you a date, like a start date, they say, okay, we're going to start April 15th. And you say, okay, that's great, thank you, I'm going to mark it in my calendar. So you haven't haggled with them that start date. You haven't haggled with them on that price. So when they show up on, May 20th, or they call you on the 15th and say, oh, sorry, I can't make it, that's when you as a homeowner can say, well, unfortunately, it doesn't work for me. You gave me the date you wanted to start. I need you to start on this date. And if there's not ahead of time notice, I'm sorry you're having a trouble, managing customers or managing your business. Maybe there's an extenuating circumstance, coronavirus,
For sure.
or whatever. But money, especially, it's important, because it's not just time. You're costing these people time if you delay their job. You're costing them heartache when they shouldn't be costed that as a homeowner. When you tell them, okay, I need X amount of $5,000 to start the job, and I take weekly draws of $1,000 a week and whatever. If you go to them and say, sorry, I need like $2,000 this week, they're not prepared for that as a homeowner.
That's right.
And if you're kind of going outside of that, and you've already, you've given them the layout of what you expect, they're expecting that. Now they as a homeowner can say, no, that doesn't work. You said this is what it would cost to go through the project, unless there's an extenuating circumstance, i.e. a really good reason, not an excuse, not your truck broke down or some shit like that.
That's right.
But an actually a good reason. You've got drywall, you have to redo the subfloor, in which case there's going to be a change order and all that stuff anyway. So they're going to have that. You're going to lay that out for them. But I was informing her, as a homeowner, you need to empower yourself by asking them what they require of you, deciding if that fits within your own life. And if it does, you agree to that. But if it veers away from that, you are empowered to now say, well, you told me this is what you needed to start the job. You told me these are the payments that you wanted throughout the project. You knew what was in the scope of the project when you gave this information to me. And now you're asking me to veer away from that. So should I veer away from it as a homeowner? Should I not provide you a good working environment? Should I change everything for you. And that's where I think it's really important, like you said, is to really have that conversation with yourself as a contractor. What do you need? Be very clear, give it the respect that the time and effort that it needs to go through. Lay out your rules and stick to them, provide them with everything that you said you're going to do, because if you don't, they can turn around and say, I don't want to pay what you asked for. You're not giving me the same service.
Right. And they wouldn't be wrong, right?
No. We also talked a little bit about knowing your competition. You're not there to compete with someone else specifically. You're there competing, with yourself, understanding that there is no competition.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that 100%. I mean, we're a skilled trade. There's plenty of work out there for everybody. There's no need to compete with anybody. If you're competing, it's for a relationship with your client. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And the better relationship wins, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the other guy priced it at. It's irrelevant. Right? This is the scope of work, and this is the price that I'm willing to do it for.
Yeah.
This is where I'm comfortable. Not what the other guy's comfortable, because his conditions are completely different. He may or may not have an office or shop. He may or may not even have WSIB. We don't know what we're facing, so there's no sense in even going there.
Yeah, absolutely. There's way too many variables between different personalities and different people and different businesses and the way people function, to sit there and try to dissect or compare one thing to another, one estimate to another estimate.
For sure. I mean, my startup costs are completely different than your startup costs. I may be able to execute a project for cheaper, right? Mm-hmm. Your cost might be a bit more on executing it, but on a bigger project, you can get it done cheaper, mm-hmm. and I can't, right? But there's so many different variables in a sense. Just know where you are in the landscape, in the environment of our trade, and strive to do better than yourself, not other people.
Yeah,
right?
Most definitely. Yeah, and I guess it goes part and parcel too. Like when you kind of have to treat it the same way we just talked about the homeowner. Looking at a project this in the same light is, okay, homeowner, this is how much it costs for us to do the project because of said variables, 4,822 different things that I'm not going to list in an estimate. But, if I have 3 laborers and 2 installers, and you have 3 installers and 2 laborers, our pricing's different right out of the gate. And maybe you work a little faster, so you can charge a little more. Maybe I work a little slower, so I have to charge a little bit more too. And
labor
maybe
costs.
Who knows? Like whatever, however that changes. But if we're treating it the same as the homeowner, and we're looking at it like, okay, homeowner, this is how much this is how much it costs for us to do the project. A lot of times we get caught up in this, nickel and dime, or let them kind of beat you up on the price a little bit. Can you take $500 off, or can you do it for this much? We have to understand as contractors, that's literally whatever that you discount is like the end all. That's your profit. That's
exactly.
You might as well pull that amount of cash out of your pocket, out of your daughter's piggy bank or your wife's purse, and hand it to that homeowner, because that's exactly what you're doing. You're taking it. That's clean profit. You're not going back to your supplier and being like, can I get an extra $3 off a bag of thin set because this homeowner beat me up a little bit? They're going to be, fuck you. Get out of here. Like, there's no chance.
Yeah. Your
so
costs are fixed.
those discounts are pure profit. And like you said, we can get into that debate with a homeowner all day about, should you be able to discount it? And I've heard that do you go in and talk to the doctor and tell the doctor, I need this surgery for like, 200 less this time, doc. And he's going to be like, seriously? But, it's not even just that. Do you go in and work, as an accountant, and you go into work and the boss is like, by the way, I need you to work on Saturday, but no money on Saturday, no overtime on Saturday. It's shit like that. That was a long time ago that used to happen. That doesn't work anymore.
No, but the client, I mean, they gotta understand that it's not even just profit; it's also flexibility in the project to be able to tolerate, um, certain inconveniences, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're not getting squeezed, and you got to explain that to them too,
Yeah.
because that's what that's there for. And it's also there for the 3 days off that we get because two projects didn't line up,
Yeah.
right? It's also there to cover other costs. So they have to understand. Look, you really don't need to explain it too deeply to a customer. It's important that they understand, but your pricing is something that you need to stay firm on because that's where self-respect. And if a customer's adamant on getting a deal, that's where I kind of pull out my listen, if it's about cost savings, there's another guy I can reference to you that might be able to get it done cheaper. Whoa, hold on. Another guy to get it done cheaper, is he as good? I can't say that he's good for some things, right? But not everyone's good for everything. He might be okay for you, he might not, but that's your decision.
Yeah.
Right? Now all of a sudden you placed yourself a little bit higher.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
That you brought in this virtual guy that doesn't even exist into the conversation. Right? And then you just, you let them know that there's this could work out a lot worse for everybody.
It's funny. You said something key there. You hear that a lot in a lot of like these, I listen to a lot of sales and entrepreneurial type things, right? And you hear that a lot is like, you need to value yourself higher. You need to talk as high, like as a higher being, not higher that you're better than other people, like as human beings, but that you speak to yourself and you give yourself, you empower yourself as you deserve. And I think that's important because a lot of people, my first thought is, oh, you know what, then maybe you should find a cheaper marble. Like I'm almost defensive, right? Like that's my initial gut instinct is to be like, what do you mean I'm too high? Like I deserve, like I work my ass off for my business. And, like I just said, do you go to your office and like it turns into like a combative nature. Whereas you
how
said
much
something,
we hold our tongue.
Yeah, exactly. But you said something great there. I love that is, oh no, I'm so sorry. Like I apologize. I didn't realize that that's what you were looking for, that level of service. So I'm more than happy to refer you to somebody who's more competitively priced. And I don't know what you're going to get in return for that. I can't vouch for them. If I could, then I'd probably hire them myself, right?
That's your decision.
Yeah. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. But, and then, like you said, you've now placed yourself kind of out of that category of their pricing. So
you removed yourself from being competition.
Yeah. I like that.
You're not there to compete. You're there to help. Right? And if you need cost savings, there's ways of doing that.
Definitely.
But really, if you were trying to save money, do you need that heated floor? Really? Do you?
Oh, I love that word. I need. Oh my God. We don't need anything. Like, I don't even fucking know. Like this whole thing. And I heard something the other day too. The guy's like talking about sales and he says, I'm trying to remember exactly how he put it, but it's along the lines of the customer, you have to remember the customer needs you if you're selling. And I'm like, I couldn't disagree with that more.
I agree with you there.
The customer doesn't fucking need anything. They don't need an iPhone. They don't need fucking the best surgeon in the world, you don't even need, okay, go into a hospital right now. You need liver surgery. The doctor, you don't even need that doctor. You've got fucking 20 hospitals in this city. You could go to any one of them. Like no one really needs anything. So it's just kind of a, like this mental game people are playing with each other. It's a leverage of power, right? It's a leverage of, how emotionally attached can I make you feel to my service and or what I'm delivering? And if I'm delivering something exceptional and that makes you feel good, well, then it's worth it to you.
That's right. We say this at the risk of, making all homeowners look, or all clients look bad. That's not it at all. I mean, we are them, right? We are the market.
As insightful.
Yeah.
Until I hired a trade at my house and I was like, right? Oh my God, this is fucked up. Like so many
Role
things that
reversal
they
there, eh?
did bothered the hell out of me. I was like, what
You
the
would never do.
oh my God, it was brutal. And some of the stuff I realized long ago because my boss was insanely particular about everything. The guy who, when I first started in the trade. So I knew it. But there was some stuff that they were doing, and I'm like, shit, do I do that? Did the guys do that? It really gave me
Gives you perspective.
some insight and
Yeah.
perspective big time.
Yeah, it does 100%. Like it's for a homeowner, like everybody's got to realize it's a scary thing hiring a trade. There's nightmare stories all over the place. Like even for me hiring a trade, I want somebody who's done work for somebody I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to be a victim of a bad situation, right? So it is. It's tough on them. Like you just got to give them that confidence. But you know, back again when it comes to negotiating money, it's they got to understand that what they're paying for is their time saved. They're paying for, you know, like other than the fact that we provide a luxury, right? Like this is what we do. It's a luxury. It's different for, you know, a nice old lady that has one bathroom and she needs her bathroom fixed because it's what, dude, that lady's getting her bathroom done for next to free.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, we provide luxuries, and it's not a competition of how much I make, how well my life is, you know, that a homeowner is giving their money to me because we're giving value to the homeowner's home.
Yep.
And to the client, right? It's an exchange that there should be no competition of, you know, I need you, you need me more. No, we need each other.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're going to work together and we're going to get to the end goal in one piece as efficiently as possible without disrupting other trades, without disrupting timelines, without disrupting, you know, budgets and all that. Are you going to do what you say you're going to do? And to be honest, if you're there quoting them, they already know. You don't have to sell them.
Yeah.
You don't have to say quality. Don't say quality. Quality happens as a result of doing the right things on the job. You don't have to tell people that you do good quality.
Yeah.
If you take care of your job site, if you do all the things that you say you're going to do, quality is just the consequence of it all.
That's right.
Right?
That's a key. You know what? That's funny you say that. That's a really key word. It's a consequence. Like the finished job is a consequence of all the steps you've taken to that point. I like that.
It's true. Clint, I still get scared when I see a project.
No doubt.
I scratch my head and say, holy shit.
Dude, I snapped a 3-inch by 10-foot 6mm porcelain slab this morning. My asshole puckers almost every fucking time. Every time. I don't care who you are, how many years you got, how many 2,000-3,000 slabs we've played with. It's still scary, especially when you're buying it.
And Clint's showing his vulnerability now because when I see you on video, dude, you look like you know what you're doing.
Oh, it's confidence buck. That's it. I don't care. Yeah.
Confidence is faked, right? It's really not real.
Yeah. No.
Is it?
No.
Like even you know, my guys are like, you know what you're doing, how to lay out. No, I'm scared of fucking up. Yeah. This is why I'm surveying walls, double measuring, double checking. No. How am I going to get the material out? You know, where's everything placed? Man, that job is finished before I even lay a tile in my head.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm scared. Fear is good. Because if you're not scared, you're probably stupid.
Oh, for sure. Nikola Tesla, every single invention that he ever made was built in his head ahead of time. So 20 years of inventions. It's changed all of the way we live, our electricity. This guy is responsible for so much shit. And he said that in his dying days that a turbine functioning in his mind is exactly the same as if it was in physically in front of him and it was functioning. He looks at it no differently.
Yeah. And here we use computers to
But that's what you're saying though. You've already, like, before the first tile goes in, I've already put the last one down.
Exactly.
You're already knowing.
And if I discovered any problems along the way, the customer's going to know about it.
Yeah. Well, that's your
right?
experience and learning how to adapt to different projects, right? That's where the experience comes in. I see a lot of guys, hear a lot of guys talk about, you know, oh, this guy, I've seen guys who are 20, 30 years fuck up. And of course you do. You're supposed to.
Of
You're
course.
learning every fucking day till the day you die, you're learning. But it goes beyond that. It when you're into this 15, 20 years, you start realizing that the experience you have helps you adapt to shit. Like you can learn how to set tile in the first year or so, but
Yeah.
how you going to deal with that changing wall, this fucking thin set? And now we deal with it more than ever because every thin set company has 20-year warranties and the best
Oh
chemically
yeah.
enhanced shit and all this different stuff. There's even more to learn and know. And what experience do you have to say, okay, I'm going to stop using this product at this point and pick it up with this product and still provide a warranty and do this and do that? It's experience, man. There is
And
nothing that replaces that. Yeah, no doubt. And you, like you said before, you see some really good install. I'll never forget when I was in Vegas and I was in the Union and we were doing City Center, and the company I worked for had 360 tile saws. So if you can imagine, I don't know how many employees they had, but if you're thinking about like there's at least 2 people for each saw, there's at least one setter, one helper. And in a lot of cases they'd set up a saw in like the hotels in like a conjoining room so that 2 setters and 2 helpers could access it. So you're thinking there's at least 800 plus employees on this site, and it was before 2008, so economy was flying and Vegas was
oh
like
yeah.
the spot to be, right? Like I mean guys were taking their check to the casino, and by Saturday morning they were broke and they were like hungry to go back to work. So it's like and there was tons of illegals. And at the time, I think before that, a few years before that, Clinton had come out with driver's license. So anybody could get a driver's license, whether you were illegal or not. So they
Yeah.
were using this to get employment in the union. So they were illegal, not paying taxes, but collecting checks.
No way.
Yeah, it was insane. The whole I don't know exactly how they did it with their social security number and how they lined it all up. So they were getting checks, and what they would do is get fake IDs, get fake social security numbers, and double up or triple up their checks. So I knew a guy who bought a fucking house cash after 3 months of working in the union. When they'd hand your checks out, it was a crowd of people, and they would just call your name and then just put the check, and then everyone would hand it back to you. So they didn't even, like the supers and everybody didn't even know who they were sending, who, Juan Garcia was. They didn't know who Clint Watson was. They didn't know who they were
Right.
handing the check out to. They were just throwing it out there. And I get like insane. And like the operators, the heavy equipment operators, they're making like $120 an hour. One guy's like, I worked 90 hours this week, and he's like falling asleep in the elevator. Like he's like running the crowds of guys up and down the stairs. Oh my god, I gotta get out of here. But
dude,
you know what though? Like shit like that, I can never. I hated it at the time, but I love looking back now and thinking about how hard it was. Like it was hot. Vegas is it's 100 and something degrees. What is that here? Like 45 degrees or whatever.
Yeah, I have no idea.
And it's like it was so hot and so miserable. And guys are, so dirty. They're pissing in the water cooler, so you can't drink the water. You can't. It's a 66-acre property, so you've got to walk all the way across to the parking lot. Like it just all your shit. If you leave a fucking trowel, like a margin trowel on the tub for 5 minutes, gone. Like you go through all that shit, and during the time it's so miserable. But after the fact, like looking back now, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it at all. Like that experience was so good for me, for my
Yeah, it made you learn that
character.
you didn't want to do that. Saved you a hell of a lot of time later on, though, didn't it? Right, and that's why I don't have anything against the union. It's great for a lot of guys, right? It does create an environment where lazy guys can kind of get away with not working as hard as other guys. they produce a lot of
Say this
deficiencies.
shit. I always bring this up and everybody's sick of hearing it. But
I have a feeling I'm going to love it.
David Price, when he came to Toronto and started pitching for the Blue Jays, and he had this post-it note in his locker, and it said, "If you don't like it, then pitch better." I fucking love that.
That's
Like,
awesome.
I think about it all the time. I'm like, every time I get frustrated with a situation, I'm like, well, then make it better. Like, if I'm frustrated talking to a person, I don't like what they're doing, the first thing I do, I'm like, well, maybe I should talk to them better. Maybe I should say something that makes them
Well
feel
done.
good.
Yeah.
Legit change anything in the world you want to. Oh, I don't like my truck. Well, then get a nicer truck. Oh, I can't afford a nicer truck. No, no, no. That means you haven't made enough money to afford a
How can
nicer
I
truck.
afford a nicer truck?
How can
That's
I
the question.
afford a nicer truck? That's the real question. And how can I make my business better? Or how can I, and then you'll find you make your business better, then you don't give a fuck about if your truck's nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was awesome. Awesome having you, Johnny. I really appreciate you taking some time today. And I know it's a pain in the ass because you're trying to get shit done on the site. Um, but I really appreciate your experience. I appreciate your insight, man. You're definitely one of my favorites in the Toronto area. And
Awesome, man. Thanks.
yeah, no, absolutely, man. Keep grinding, keep pushing. Everybody, if you're not following Tile Services Canada, please do. Johnny, awesome dude, super good insight. Yeah, man. Thanks very much for coming on, brother.
Oh, I had a blast, man, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it.